Hi, this is Patrice, and we're coming to you today from Catholic Company TV. Our guest is Fred Berretta, who is author of Flight of Faith, My Miracle on the Hudson, and he is with us today to share his experience. His plane went down about a year ago in the Hudson River, and through a great miracle, it seems, everybody was saved and well against the odds. So before we get started, I was going to ask Fred if you would just give us a brief background on that day, maybe why you were up in the sky and where you were going, and then we could just talk about some other things.
Sure. Well, I was traveling on business. That was the primary purpose of the trip, and left January 14th, the day before. It was a last-minute trip. Literally decided that morning I needed to be up in New York for some meetings, and flew up there, and was not supposed to be there that week. Was looking forward to not traveling that week, but obviously fortune had it differently, so that's how I ended up on flight 1549.
And you are a pilot, so that was an interesting experience for you versus some of the other passengers on the plane. So just give me a little perspective on that, on what you felt like, the reality of what was going on. Perhaps you knew more than your fellow passengers at that moment.
Right, that knowledge was probably more detrimental to me than it was helpful. We took off, everything was normal about the flight, the takeoff, the taxi. The weather had cleared, it had been overcast that day. Heard the sound of the impact of the geese on the fuselage and the engines, and didn't know that it in fact was a flock of Canada geese. And was deeply concerned. There was a loud explosion type noise and the plane jockeyed back and forth, and it was very alarming. My first thought was we might have literally lost an engine off the wing. That's the way the plane was behaving. And then we quickly realized both engines aren't working. Something catastrophic has happened. They were both on fire, not operating obviously normally, and was just hoping that they wouldn't ignite the wing, the plane wouldn't explode, and then of course the whole sequence of events from there on the flight played out.
There was a great quote from your book, actually, that inspired me, and I was wondering if you would speak to us a little bit about this. This was your line. You said, "I was about as prepared to meet God as I could, but I still desperately wanted more time." You feel like God is saying to you, Christ is saying to you, will you accept my will for you in your life? And then you seem to know immediately what that meant, and talk about what you knew that meant for you in that moment.
Well, I think I reached a point where, after thinking through what are the chances of surviving, before that what had happened, and then after I'm going to miss my family, and this is, am I ready to die? At that point, there really wasn't much else to think about. And what struck me was the notion, obviously, to pray and examine my faith. And I prayed for God to be merciful to us. I thought about the Divine Mercy Promise. I thought about the image on the book of Christ, and so it really was a test of my faith. I had to look at my faith very closely and assess what is it made of. So I think a lot about those things, and I just try to get up every day and be a better person.
You seem joyful.
As idealistic as that sounds, it's my mission now. If I have to distill the event down to a couple of thoughts. One is that in one way, I think it's a modern day parable story. It's about decision making, the importance of it. Captain Sullenberger had to make a key decision. He made it quickly, he made it well. The temptations to fly to the two airports that were within view. Boy, as a pilot with a damaged aircraft, to resist those temptations is very, very difficult. He chose the third most unlikely option, landing in the river, the hardest option in a sense, and that helps save us all. So I think in life it's about the decision making, people working together toward the common goal, and also people turning to God. All that working together can create miracles.
It's like the communion of saints, everybody working together on different levels. Well, thank you so much, Fred, for joining us today.
Sure,
and this was so
pleasure
interesting that I hope you'll come back again and we'll just talk about another level of your experience because it was so great. Thank you for joining us today at Catholic Company TV. And you can purchase Flight of Faith, Fred Berretta's book, at www.catholiccompany.com. Thank you for joining us.